Haribol. All right. So we were at the birth of Srinivas Acharya, chapter 1. So we'll continue from where we left yesterday. So Srinivas Acharya was about to take birth. So as the pregnancy progressed, Lakshmi Priya and Chaitanya Das became more and more delighted. People came to them daily and offered them gifts. Thus, their poverty was completely forgotten. See, even that was taken care by the Lord. Their poverty, when the great soul is coming, there will be all auspicious signs, which also includes that there will not be any trouble as well materially. At an auspicious moment, after 10 months and 10 days, on the full moon day in the month of April, same month, last month, I would say, a baby boy was born to Lakshmi Priya. Chaitanya Dasa rushed into the maternity room after the birth. As soon as he saw his son's face, his heart filled with ecstasy. As news of the birth spread, Brahmanas recited Vedic mantras and singers sang auspicious songs. So, Chaitanya Dasa and Lakshmi Priya Mataji gave birth to, means she gave birth to Srinivas Acharya. And he was so beautiful and he was so charming and he was so divine that all of their hearts was filled with joy automatically as soon as they saw the face of the child. And the Brahmanas came and recited the Vedic mantras. That's the culture. The demigods glorified the child from the sky. The women made auspicious sounds as the old and young danced while clapping their hands. The cows and calves moved and wandered here and there, raising their tails and carrying morsels of grass in their mouths. So all auspicious signs are visible. This is the sign of a great personality when he comes down to this plane. When the Lord comes, similar auspicious signs will be there. And we also observe that when there will be a demoniac personality who comes down, there will be a lot of inauspicious signs as well. So all the villagers were happy to hear of Srinivasa's birth and they rushed to Chaitanya Das' house carrying gifts. Durga Das, who was the landlord or zamindar of that village, also arrived with a group of musicians who sang auspicious songs. Durga Das danced for a long time and then distributed charity to the Brahmanas. So the whole village had become very jubilant. Even people who were not very supportive to Krishna consciousness, they also become very conducive and they also started spreading the spreading the glories of the holy names and joining the movement. The only sound that could be heard was the chanting of Sri Sri Radha Krishna's holy names. Thus, the entire day passed in joyful singing and dancing. Durgadas finally returned home with his party, and Chaitanya Das satisfied the assembled Brahmanas and other guests by offering them charity. So that's the chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called Second Vilas, the birth ceremony of Srinivasacharya, how the birth ceremony was observed. All glories to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, all glories to Chaitanya Dasa and Lakshmi Priya. O readers, kindly listen attentively as I describe the loving pastimes of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. So, Nityananda Das Prabhu, who is the disciple of Janava Mataji, who has written this book, he is kindly requesting for us to kindly listen attentively. What does it mean? That is the proper process of Shravanam. It is also the proper process of Kirtanam also, because attentive sadhana is very, very important, whether it is hearing or chanting. In one way, it also creates an offense when we do not do it attentively. Yes, the mind goes here and there because that is the nature of the mind till it gets trained properly. Trained means after a long process of training, the mind will be peaceful. the mind will be pacified and the mind will be trained in such way that it doesn't trouble us anymore. So, but at this stage, we all have the problem that uh, giving attention is very, very hard, very hard. That's why Sridhar Maharaj always used to say, Kirtanam is the highest process, highest, um, Kirtana is the highest process of, for a sadhaka, it is the best thing. And within Kirtana, preaching or glorifying the Lord or means reciting Kada is the highest form of Kirtana, because while chanting or while hearing even, our minds can wander here and there, means we might lose the attention, because we are trying to glorify the Lord, we are trying to invoke the all auspicious personality by trying to get connected to him. At the same time, we are ignoring him. Do you get it? Means if we invite a guest to our house, but if we ignore them, uh, then it is not a good gesture. In the mundane world, it is considered as very, very fallen behavior. What to talk about when we are trying to connect to the Supreme Lord? We are trying to gain his attention, but we are not attentive. We are trying to gain his attention, but we think that, oh, okay, it's fine. This, at least this much I'm doing. No, we are supposed to give everything to him. Means we are, first of all, our size means our quantitatively we are infinitesimal, means very, very small, finite, infinitesimal parts. We don't really have anything to offer to him. Pretty much, he owns everything. He owns everything. Only thing which he does not have is our love, and he's after it. And he's after it. And so we'll have to offer what we have got exclusively, fully to him, not partially. We don't have anything to offer. If you really look at it, even if we offer some uh, material objects from this material world, first of all, it is inferior, because we don't have anything to offer. Sorry, it got muted again. Uh, can you all hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, nice. So it's all about, how much we really care for Krishna, how much we want to give ourselves to Krishna. So we don't really have much to offer, but when we offer, we have to offer everything what we have. How do we offer everything what we have? What does he really want? Patram Pushpam means, is he after our, um, the objects which we offer to him? Not really. He is after the secret ingredient which is in that object, which is our love. So fully, not partially. So it's not that, okay, I'll give a little bit to my boss, little bit to my parents, little bit to my family, little bit to my friend, neighbors, and also I'll give a little bit to God. Fully we need to offer. Again, it doesn't mean that we don't have. Love is something where it is also unlimited, even if it is finite. So we can show respect and love to all the living entities, but real love can only be expressed to the Lord, that we know as devotees. That real love means the feelings of love, of what is love. We should define that first. Then we can, when we know what it is, then it is easier to offer. So we all come across this terminology, loving service, love, prema, all these things. But how do we really know what it is? We probably can correlate to our mundane experiences or relationships here in this world. So the loving relationship with our family, like wife, parents, friends and children. So probably mother's love to the child, we can see that and admire it and adore it, thinking that it might be the actual love, because it is so pure, it is so nice. She is serving the child so nicely. So uh, that is the feeling which we get. It is serving the child, and the child also is attached to the mother, and mother is attached to the child. What is the attachment? The attachment is uh, based on a relationship, which is basically based on the platform of, in one way, um, ahkar, because it might sound very weird, but it is the reality, because you are attached to your child more than anyone's child, right? Means, what does it mean? So it is my child, mine. That is natural. So animals have it, we also have it. So it is mine, so you tend to get attached more. So mother's intense feeling of it is mine is also there. At the same time, mother also has at least to look at it externally, she serves the child very unconditionally. But there will be some very indirect way or very hidden way of um, selfish motive also, which is very hard to trace. So that is why it is not as equal to the love of God. It gets the second status, or in fact, the acharyas have said that any love, any form of love in this world cannot be compared to the love of Godhead. So it is a perverted reflection here. So it is like it might appear the same, but it is diagonally opposite. It's like North Pole and South Pole. They appear the same, both ends appear the same, but they are diagonally opposite in direction. Means there is huge difference when it comes to where they are placed. They're placed in opposite directions. So Krishna's love means any rasa, if you take Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya, the pure love, Shuddha Bhakti, one, it is attached on a pure, there is no ego platform there, that it is mine. So number one, that's what defines love. Number two, the attachment is so pure, that again it is free of all kinds of ego. So that's what defines love. And in fact, love governs both the entities. Love governs it. Love is independent here. In the spiritual plane, Krishna is also governed by love, and devotee is also governed by love. So that is the central position of love. It is not a peripheral position, it's the central position. It attracts both the Lord and the servants to itself. It attracts both, and both are tied down in one way. There is a competition between each other to serve each other. See, in child and mother's love, mother gives all the service to the child, right? Mother gives all the service to the child, and child also gives some service to mother. How is it possible? Because the child gives a lot of happiness to mother by receiving that service. There is a lot of happiness which is felt within the child, which is transferred to the mother. When child is satisfied, mother is satisfied. Similarly, but there is some limitation in this world. There is some limitation. Even mothers get at some stage they get exhausted or upset, or genuinely they feel that, oh, it's enough, I can't take it more for today. At least for some time, at least for a few minutes, I want some break. So whereas, because this is the nature of this world, that is why I said it is not 100% pure love, because there is some sort of rejection, which I would say all the mothers here in this group probably agree. Even if you disagree, I'm happy to hear why it is. Whereas in Krishna Prema, Krishna Loka, Yashoda, Yashoda never basically rejects Krishna. never rejects Krishna, and Yashoda never feels exhausted. It doesn't mean that any mother will reject their child here, but I'm quite confident that you're getting the context what I'm saying. But there is a competition uh, between the devotee and the Lord, and every step of that competition is increasing their joy, increasing their happiness. So externally, it might even appear that Mother Yashoda put the child baby down, child Krishna, baby Krishna down, and ran for saving the milk. But that is also again, the Yogamaya has created the pastime in such a way that Mother Yashoda is basically not rejecting the child or ignoring the child. It is to increase the rasa. The Yogamaya has played a role in this way, where she wants to engage that milk in the service of the Lord as well. She is constantly engaged in the service of the Lord, even though it might appear that she has neglected him for a moment, but it's not for any other purpose. It is for purpose of serving him only. So the service gets the higher status here. So service is all in all. So when we understand these kind of intricacies, this type of love exchanged in the spiritual world, then we can understand what really love is, and we can correlate to this world. Love means we can have to a certain degree some expression of that love, but it is not 100%. Only way we can express that, it can be only when we come in touch with the Supreme, because that is where it takes its position purely. Rest of the places, it always has imperfection, because it is touched by the um, Mayic world. Uh, when it is tinged by sattva, rajas, and tamas, it is always imperfect. Right? So it is perverted reflection is here. So a taste of that is definitely there, but it is not 100%. So it makes a big difference. So attentive listening is very important. Attentive chanting is very important, because we are trying to invoke the Supreme Lord's attention to us, and but we are neglecting him. We are trying to do other things. We are trying to basically, sometimes people watch TV and chant. Sometimes people read and chant. How can you read and chant both together? It is, some people say, no, I'm good at multitasking. There is no multitasking in spiritual world. They are fully embraced with that particular service and engrossed with that service. And gopis are basically doing flower garlands. They are so engrossed in that making for flower garlands. That is their japa. They are churning the yogurt, milk, whatever, to get the butter out. So that is their chanting. So the service which you are particularly doing, we should fully give attention to that. So Guru Maharaj always used to say, his motto was that give attention, pay attention to what you're doing. That is actual devotion. That is how you do the sadhana bhakti nicely, properly. Very attentive. So while even cooking prasadam, while serving prasadam, while honoring prasadam, while we take prasadam, what do? We we tend to talk all mundane, or even watch TV, or whatever, so, but do we really understand that we are actually partaking the mercy? So the mercy is coming down in the form of prasadam, means, which is the most easy way to get in one way. The mercy is by honoring that prasadam. But what are we trying to? How are we receiving it? How are we, when we receive mercy? How do we receive? Like even when we go and take blessings from elders, we don't just go. We don't watch a video game in our hand and pay the obeisances. It is disrespectful to that person, because he will find it very disrespectful, because you're really not. Yes, you want to want some blessings, but you really are not attentive, means you don't really care. So in similar way, it is actually the same thing. If we give it a deep thought, it is the same thing. When we are trying to, that's why if you really go to the proper places where Krishna consciousness is practiced, those places are the matas and ashramas, because in mats and ashrams, they try to follow the etiquette and also the proper process in a very nice way. So when the prasadam, Mahaprasadam is served, whom do they serve first? They try to serve the best of the devotees there. So the senior devotees there, the sannyasis. So because they know the art of, they know the right way of honoring the prasadam. So when the prasadam is honored in that way, then the rest should take. That is the proper practice, because they know how to get the mercy. So they show the example, and once we take prasadam after that, it becomes maha prasadam. It has become even great because it is being received properly also, the mercy. And then when we honor that, it becomes maha prasadam. So it is all about how attentive we are in our practice. Everything we do, we have to be attentive. In fact, that applies even in the material world, and sometimes we tend to do that very nicely in our jobs, but we forget that same practice when it comes to Krishna consciousness. We become very complacent, we become very casual. So that's something which we should, it applies to myself as well. So we need to increase the intensity of attention, or being attentive while hearing, while chanting, while when talking about Krishna, Shravanam or remembering Krishna. That is not the recommended process in our sampradaya, even though that is one of the Navdha Bhakti. 9 types of devotional services. Smaranam also is there, but Smaranam is not recommended for a sadhaka, because Smaranam is done from the platform of mind, and the mind is very, very, very weak at the beginning stages. Weak means it just tosses here and there. So externally trying to remember is very hard. It is not recommended. So that is why chanting is more, means kirtanam is more recommended. Smaranam will come. Smaranam will come when we are in the ripened stage. Means when the higher stages come, the devotional practice is more ripened, then Smaranam comes automatically by Kirtana's power. Smaranam is it's not an um, independent type of devotion. In one way, it is connected to all our other sadhana. So we tend to give attention while we are trying to do our sadhana. So here, Nityananda Das Prabhu is saying, "Oh readers, kindly listen attentively as I describe the loving pastimes of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna." So we should be very attentive while listening these kind of pastimes, because we cannot just make it cheap. When the villagers heard about the newborn child, all their distress and lamentation was instantly mitigated. Everyone went to Chaitanya Dasa's house, forgetting their household duties. The lame, blind, sick, and all others rushed to see the child while chanting the glories of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. When Chaitanya Das saw his son's moon-like face, his happiness knew no bounds. Tears flowed from his eyes. He could not take his eyes off the child. Any mother would be proud to have carried such a son in her womb. The child's beauty far surpassed the beauty of the Gandharvas and Kinnaras. The beauty of the child was such that even Gandharas and Kinnaras, they are very beautiful. So Chaitanya Das and his wife were merged in the ocean of ecstatic love, because it was all auspicious moments, and also they knew that Lord has blessed a great child who will be great devotee. The male and female dancers assembled at the house and sang and danced beautifully. The professional reciters sang of Radha and Krishna's wonderful pastimes. Mridangas, kartals, big drums, and other musical instruments were vibrated throughout the house. The flute players played various melodies and filled the 10 directions with music. The blind and deaf chanted Hari's holy name in ecstasy, rolling on the ground and considering themselves fortunate. At the same time, the blind condemned the Creator, Lord Brahma, for not giving them the eyesight to see such an exalted personality. People gave up their fears, lamentation, and distress simply by seeing Srinivasa, and the village soon became a prosperous and joyful place. Oh, brothers, I have thus briefly described Srinivasa's birth. Anyone who hears this topic will surely find his life successful. I write of this pastime simply to purify myself. See, such is the quality of a great devotee. Nityananda Das Prabhu is saying, this is the process of purifying, and this is the process for us as well. So, what purifies us? Glorifying Vaishnavas, glorifying the Lord. That's what purifies us. Desiring to serve the lotus feet of Sri Janava and Virachandra Prabhu, I Nityananda Das narrate from Vilas. So that's the second chapter. Till now, do you have any questions? So yesterday also I had asked if anyone has any questions, they can kindly ask. No problem at all, because any doubts should be cleared off as we go. Okay, we'll continue then. Third Vilas, third chapter, Srinivasacharya's childhood pastimes. All glories to Chaitanya Dasa and his wife, the kind-hearted Lakshmi Priya. I offer my humble obeisances at the feet of all Lord Krishna devotees. I have no real knowledge or devotional qualities, yet I am trying to write this transcendental narration. Very humble. There are many wonderful devotees who are my contemporaries and who possess wonderful qualities. Some of them have written books describing Lord Krishna's pastimes and some about Lord Gaura's pastimes. But I like best the books describing Krishna's devotees. So he has taken a very smart path in one way, because glorifying the devotees will attract the Lord's mercy more. Krishna says himself in many places that if one becomes a devotee of my devotee, then I am available to him, then I show my mercy to him. So it is all about we connecting to the lotus feet of other Vaishnavas. So here Nityananda Das is saying, I like best the books describing Krishna's devotees. Srimati Janava Mata and Virachandra Prabhu ordered me to write about the qualities and pastimes of Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur. Who ordered this? Again, it came from their guru, his guru, Janava Mataji. So in our whole sampradaya, we only find very, very few Matajis who even took the position of guru. So there is no discrimination as male or female. If one is qualified, one is there is no gender discrimination, of course. So Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur's pastimes, she requested, she asked, she instructed, whatever you can say, she ordered Nityananda Das to compose it. Although I do not know how to write this book, I am simply attempting it on the strength of their mercy. Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur are my life and soul. I appeal to all the Vaishnavas not to take my offense seriously, for I am simply writing so that I can follow my spiritual master's order. Throughout our sampradaya, if you really look at it, this is the mood of all the devotees who have given us wonderful scriptures. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has the same mood while writing Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vrindavan Das Thakur has the same mood. Narottam Das Thakur in his songs has the same mood. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his songs and books has the same mood. So they're all following the footsteps of other Vaishnavas. So we'll have to develop an eye. We'll have to develop an eye to connect to that vision, same vision. We need to acquire the same vision. acquire the same angle of vision means that is our service actually. It means we follow the footsteps properly and also try to understand their approach to the reality, their method of approach to reality. Oh, readers, please attentively hear. She is again asking us attentively hear of Srinivasacharya's childhood pastimes. Chaitanya Das was so pleased to watch them and to see his son's influence that he rarely left the house after Srinivasa was born. Krishna has gone out. ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇದ್ದಾನಲ್ಲ. So I'll repeat it. Chaitanya Dasa was so pleased to watch them and to see his son's influence that he rarely left the house after Srinivasa was born. Means he was so captivated by the beauty of the child and the influence of the child that he never left home much. He and his wife raised their son in great happiness. Soon it was time for the child's grain ceremony. So on that auspicious day and at an auspicious moment, Chaitanya Dasa fed Srinivasa the Lord Ramanants. Both he and his wife felt great satisfaction to see the boy eat prasada. So this is the proper etiquette, of a Vaishnava etiquette, that everything is done so nicely, so beautifully. Later, when Srinivasa was a little grown, Chaitanya Das conducted the sacred thread giving ceremony for his son. So the Upanayana Samskara, sacred thread giving ceremony for his son was conducted. Usually that is done when a child is around 8 years old. His mind was enchanted to see his son dressed in saffron robes, but then a doubt entered his mind. Srinivasa showed no interest in worldly affairs or even boyish pursuits like how children play and their activities. We all know that Srinivasa Acharya was not much showing any interest like that. Jamute, door close model. Was Srinivasa destined to become renounced? Chaitanya Dasa and his wife could not abide that they may lose their son. Srinivasa's teacher, however, the great devotee Vidyanidhi Pandita, was happy to see that his student was materially detached. 1 second. Krishna, can you please close the door? And he had come, you go down. Your friend had come, you go down. Okay. Janvi, close my door. So Srinivasa's teacher, however, the great devotee Vidyanidhi Pandita, was happy to see that his student was materially detached. He was sure the boy would grow up to become great scholar. Still, Vidyanidhi Pandita said, "Oh Srinivasa, you should finish your studies quickly because you will have to go to Vrindavan. The land of Bengal is dear to Lord Chaitanya, and he wants to spread his mission there by distributing devotional literature. You have not studied anything for the last 3 days. I am your teacher, so listen to me and do as I say. If you disobey my order, you will forget everything." But Srinivasa continued not to show interest in his studies. Instead, he simply chanted Krishna's holy name. Seeing this, his teacher left disappointed. You follow? So Lakshmi Priya and Chaitanya Das could not understand their son and were astonished by his behavior. Srinivasa always chanted the holy names of Sri Sri Radha Krishna and would pay no attention to his academic studies. Means he had no real interest in any kind of material activities, including even his material studies as well, I would say. No one could understand what he is saying when he spoke to himself. Sitting alone inside the house, it was undoubtedly Krishna's arrangement that even though Srinivasa did not study, he still went on to become a learned scholar. Such is the mercy of the Lord. Srinivasa did not pay much attention going to school, learning everything properly and becoming scholarly. But yet, even though he was not very much interested, he used to sit in a corner of a place or he used to sit quietly in the house and always chant the holy names. But he went on to become a great scholar. One day, Srinivasa's mother again requested him to go to his teacher and learn something. Srinivasa agreed and went to his teacher's house with the books. His teacher, Dhananjaya Vidyanidhi, was glad to see him but asked, "Oh Srinivasa, why have you